Welcome back to One Comic Book a Day, where my wife is chaperoning a school trip and will be gone for a whole day. So just me and the dog again. He seems thrilled. Today we are talking about Action Comics number 38, Hypnosis by Radio. Radio Hypnosis is a much more active title. I like that better, but it's Hypnosis by Radio, where a lot of things are loosely connected happen and it all sort of comes together at the end. It's not a strong story. Kind of like yesterday's, though I had more fun with all the commissioners exploding yesterday. So Clark Kent is shopping when a mailman robs the store he's in. That seems a little weird for a mailman just to rob somebody, especially not using some sort of disguise or any way to hide his face. As Superman, he puts a stop to this because Superman, bright blue costume, red cape, easy to recognize. That's been the point of me saying that each time. He doesn't think much about it, but at the same time, Lois and Officer Casey arrive to the bank because there's something going on. The bank manager leads them to the vault where he locks them inside and they're going to suffocate. Superman finds out about this because of all his powers and ability to move around the city pretty quickly. He arrives and demands the bank manager let them out. The bank manager has completely forgotten about all of this and has absolutely no idea what Superman is talking about, and even tries to have security arrest him. Good luck with that. When he breaks open the vault, the bank manager is quite surprised to find Officer Casey and Lois inside. A little bit of time passes, and Clark watches Lois, who seems to be acting strange, she's kind of zombified, walk around and receive stolen bonds that were robbed from the bank. She then puts them in a big crate and sends them through the mail. At no point does Superman try to stop any of this. He just kind of watches it, or even follows the guys who tossed the stolen bonds to her. But before he can actually investigate any of this, it turns out she sent them to Clark as a way to put suspicion all on Clark, so he needs to be arrested. Narratively, this doesn't make any sense, because why would the villain of the story want it to be Clark Kent, other than Clark's sort of relationship with Superman and attempts at taking down criminals being pretty high? But there's like no narrative reason in this story why they would go after Clark specifically. Like, the villain has nothing to do with Clark and could not even know who Clark is. It's entirely possible. It seems just like a way to try to put like two loosely connected threads together to make Clark go after the villain eventually. Instead of like spending time actually introducing the villain earlier, it should have been introduced like after the bank vault. If this story was to function better and given us some reasoning and some character interaction, more interesting story. No, it's just loosely connected threads and a pretty loose idea of why Superman should be investigating this. Clark gets away from Officer Casey. That's 2 issues in a row. Actually, if Clark hadn't quit being police commissioner at the end of last issue, it would have been more difficult for Officer Casey to try to arrest him, or any sort of like case being brought to him. And he would have like known about the bonds before anybody else had known about them. Well, other than the police, but he probably could have gone to them quicker to investigate before they found out it was sent to Clark with the power of being commissioner. Actually, being police commissioner would put him in a better position than possibly the reporter angle. Why hasn't anybody been a police commissioner before? Other than the police suck, but I mean, it makes more sense, because the police commissioner seems to know stuff before the reporters do most of the time in this universe. Anyway, he's back to being Superman, and he flies around and ends up investigating everybody who's been acting weird, and he finds receivers in the room. This all leads back to one man who is a radio hypnosis. He's a psychiatrist, so he's a radio psychiatrist with hypnosis abilities. So basically, Superman's villain in this issue is Frasier Crane. I know he can't hypnotize, but he is a radio psychiatrist. So this guy's been hypnotizing people to do what he wants, and then they don't remember the crime actually happening, which is actually not a bad idea. This was part of my problem with the last time a villain tried to hypnotize people into committing crimes, and there being this whole problem where he chose people where it would be weird afterwards, instead of like just hypnotizing the rich person to take out the money and then forget that they had taken out money at all that day. But this Frasier Crane wannabe, his name is Harold. I want to say Harold Mason. I'd have to look it up again because it's such a generic name and he's not a very interesting villain, so I don't particularly care getting his name 100% right. He's going to be completely forgotten about, and they didn't bring him up to like 2/3 into this comic, so he's barely a villain. He has interesting guns and weapons to use on Superman, specifically one that can melt steel, which doesn't work on Superman, which makes me think that the Man of Steel name doesn't quite work because if the gun that melts steel doesn't melt Superman, he's not really the Man of Steel. What would be better, the Man of Diamonds? That's too regal for him. Anyway, from that tangent, his final ploy is to hold a mirror up to Superman and hypnotize him that way. I'm not 100% certain how that works. I've never tried it before. I am now hypnotized. Well, I'm not looking into a mirror, so that's the problem right now. This doesn't work on Superman because hypnosis seems to go back and forth of how well it actually works on Superman. So he pushes down the mirror and uses his own hypnosis abilities. Remember, he has mind control abilities. So he uses them here to hypnotize the Frasier Crane wannabe. I know this is like 40 years before? No, 50 years before Frasier. Actually, no, the 80s with Cheers. So about 50 years before Frasier Crane was introduced on Cheers. But he's Frasier Crane in my head. You just know if Frasier and Niles have had hypnosis abilities, they would get into a fight over how well one of them was doing it and then end up putting each other in like a comatose state. A fugue state is a better way to put that. So he hypnotizes the guy into turning himself in. Wait a minute. So Superman's odd mind abilities that are going to go away soon could be used to hypnotize people into turning themselves in. I mean, this is its own horrifying can of worms, but Superman's been mainly threatening people with death and violence to get them to turn themselves in. And I'd rather him do this than the other thing, because the hypnosis breaks immediately after the guy confesses. It's like, wait, what was I doing? Which is a bit funny. It's very quick and isn't a great build-up to it, but yeah. He turns himself in and this is all over, and all suspicions off Clark again. Officer Casey should continue to be suspicious on Clark, seeing how often he has to actually follow him. And that is it from Superman number 38, Hypnosis by Radio. It's just loosely connected, and it barely even feels like it had the villain to like 2/3 in, because it's just him going through the motions of stopping people that don't even feel connected until we get like the reveal at the end. And even then, it's not well defined how well any of this kind of fit in together, other than we had 14 pages to tell this story. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notifications when a new video goes up. I do this Monday through Friday, but Fridays is Bat Friday, where I cover a Batman story in Detective Comics or one of the stories in the main Batman series. And until next time, let us ponder the question, whatever did happen to the Man of Tomorrow? Also, why hasn't he been hypnotizing people before? This feels like a non-violent way to take care of criminals, Superman. Okay, have a great day.